You probably haven't heard of Canadian production company Astron 6, but they really deserve much more attention for their low-budget, practical effects-driven films that serve as homages to classic genres or specific time periods. They popped up on my radar a few years ago with their horror comedy Psycho Gorman, which feels like the natural continuation of movies like the 90s Ninja Turtles movies or Power Rangers, and it was absolutely hilarious. And they return with another horror comedy called Frankie Freako, which is their take on 80s creature features like gremlins and critters. Now, I didn't quite love this the way I did their previous effort, but it's still a fun time. It takes place in the 80s and sees a workaholic who calls his party hotline, which results in these little alien creatures led by the title character to wreak havoc in his house while his wife is away. It's definitely more amusing than anything. Even though it's labeled as a horror comedy, it's pretty light on the actual horror element, and it's more like lighthearted mischief caused by these goblin-looking aliens. They have these very distinct but one-note personalities, like Frankie himself is like a punk rocker, or there's another who's dressed like a cowgirl, and it'll just be them spouting catchphrases and breaking stuff in the house, and for most of its runtime at just under 90 minutes, it pretty much milks those jokes. It does heighten some of those antics in the third act with a change in setting, but for the most part, it places an emphasis on how much these creatures can break and how much they can annoy people, and it can be very funny at times, but because there's not much to them beyond that, it doesn't always reach the point of hilarious. A lot of the dialogue is intentionally corny, especially by its yuppie lead character, who has to hide from his wife what's going on whenever they talk on the phone. The whole point is that it's playing up how cheesy these sort of movies could be, but there is a sincerity in what it's doing that I appreciated, even when it didn't always land for me. It serves as a loving tribute to a fun little subgenre, with a look that, if I didn't know it was a 2024 movie beforehand, could easily fit right in with the movies it's referencing. The puppets for Frankie and his friends all look great. This is yet another movie that makes a great case for how something with practical effects on a micro budget can look infinitely better at crafting a genre piece than some of these bigger budget films that rely on CGI, and while overall it doesn't exactly lead to being a new favorite of mine, it's still a fun time that I have a lot of respect for, and it still has me excited to see what's next from this team.